I sit down, a nice book. Ding dong.
I hope you will not consider this an intrusion, Mr. Condamine.
Not at all. Please, sit down.
Thank you.
Would you like some coffee or a liqueur?
No, thank you. I had to come, Mr. Condamine.
Yes.
I felt a tremendous urge, like a rushing wind. And so I hopped on my bike, and here I am.
It was very kind.
No, not kind at all. It was my duty. I know it strongly.
Duty?
I reproach myself bitterly.
Please, don't. There is no necessity for that.
Oh, I allowed myself to get into a huff the other day with your late wife. I rode home all the way in the grip of temperament, Mr. Condamine. I have regretted this.
My dear, Madam Archive.
Please let me go on. Mine is the shame. Mine is the blame. I shall never forgive myself. Had I not been so impetuous, had I listened to the cool voice of reason, so much might have been averted.
You told my wife distinctly you were unable to help her. You were perfectly honest. Over and above the original unfortunate mistake, I see no reason for you to reproach yourself.
Oh, but I threw up the sponge. In a moment of crisis, I threw up the sponge instead of throwing down the gauntlet.
Well, whatever you threw, Madam Arcadi, I very much fear nothing could have been done. It seems that circumstances were a little too strong for all.
Oh, I cannot bring myself to admit defeat so easily. It is gall and wormwood to me. I could at least have concentrated, made an effort.
Never.
I do mind. I cannot help it. I mind with every fiber of my being. I have been thinking very carefully, and I've also been reading a good deal during the last few miserable days. I guess that
my first wife is not in the room. She is lying down. The funeral exhausted her. I imagine my second wife is with her, but of course, I have no way to know.
And you have remarked no difference in the texture of your first wife since the accident?
No, she is much as usual. A bit under the weather, perhaps. A bit low-spirited, but that is all.
Well, that washes that.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, it's just a little theory I have. In the 19th century, there was a pretty widespread belief that a ghost who had participated in the death of a human being disintegrated automatically.
How do you know that Elvira was in any way responsible for Rita's death?
It has a definite lilt to it, doesn't it? Elvira! Elvira!
You haven't answered my question. How do you know?
It came to me in a blinding flash. I had just finished my Ovaltine and turned out the light when suddenly I started up in bed with a loud cry and said, "Great Scott! I've got it!" At 3. After that, I began to put 2 and 2 together. At 3 in the morning, with my brain fairly seething, I went to work on my crystal plan. But it wasn't very satisfactory. Cloudy.
I would be very much obliged, Madam Arcadi, if you would keep any theories you have regarding my first wife's death to yourself.
My one desire is to help you. I feel I have been dreadfully remiss over the whole affair. Not only remiss, but untidy.
I'm afraid there's nothing to be done, Madam Arcadi.
But there is. There is. I have found a formula, and here it is. I copied it out of Edmondson's Witchcraft witchcraft and its byways.
What the hell are you talking about?
Lock up your heart, Mr. Condamine. All is not lost.
Now look here, Madam Arcadi.
You are still anxious to dematerialize your first wife, I suppose?
Yes, of course. Perfectly furious with her. But
what?
well, she's been very upset the last few days. Apart from me being angry with her, which she never could stand even when she was alive, my second wife, Ruth, hasn't left her side for a moment. You must see that she's had a pretty bad time, what with one thing and another.
Your delicacy of feeling does you credit. But I must say, if you will forgive my bluntness, that you are a blasted fool, Mr. Condamine.
You are at liberty to think whatever you please.
Now, don't go get on your high horse. There's nothing to be gained. There's no sense in that, is there? I have a formula here that I think we'll be able to get rid of her without hurting her feelings in the least. All is extremely simple and requires nothing but complete concentration on your part and a slight trance on my part. I may be able to manage it without lying down.
Honestly, I would rather...
Charles!
What on earth's the matter?
What's she doing here?
She came to offer me her condolences.
Should have. Congratulations.
Please don't say things like that, Elvira. It's in the worst possible taste.
What's she
Madam Arcadi, allow me to introduce my first wife, Elvira.
How do you do?
What does she want, Charles? Send her away.
In what part of the room is she at the moment?
She is moving about rather rapidly. I'll tell you where and when she settles.
She's the one who got me in here in the first place, isn't she?
Yes!
Well, please tell her to get me away again as soon as possible. I can't stand this house another minute.
Really, Elvira, I'm surprised at you.
I don't care how surprised you are. I want to go home.
Don't be childish, Elvira.
I'm not being childish. I mean it.
Very interesting, very interesting. I smell ectoplasm strongly.
What a disgusting thing to say.
Where is she now?
Here, close to me.
Are you happy, my dear?
Tell that son of a bitch to mind her own business.
Was the journey difficult? Are you weary?
She's doggy.
Just a moment, Madam Arcadi.
This is wonderful, wonderful.
For God's sakes, tell her to go into the other room. I've got to talk to you.
Madam Arcadi.
Just a moment. I almost have contact. I can sense the vibration. This is magnificent.
Go on, Elvira. Don't be a spoil sport. Give her a bit of encouragement.
You promised to get her into the other room.
All right.
Yes! Oh, yes! Again! Again! Oh, this is first rate. It really is first rate. Absolutely stunning.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
Please get rid of her room for me in a minute.
Madam Arcadi, would you think it most frightfully rude if I asked you to go into the dining room for a moment? My first wife wishes to speak with me.
Oh, must I? Must I? It's so lovely being in the room with her.
Only for a few minutes. I promise. She'll be here when you return.
Very well.
Yeah. Well, I think you're speaking to me. That's the thing. You don't see me. You're speaking to me. You say, we him.
He told me not to.
Oh, I could be
But
right.
I'll say it, but he told me to cut it out.
Amanda?
Hand
well,
me
she
my
has to-
bag. You told me to cut that out because you said there's no point in saying it with it like that.
Okay.
Because the
Yeah.
point was